welcome back again. You're hanging out with us over at the Nerd for No Reason podcast. You're hanging with me. I'm Raven, and you're hanging with that other guy.
I'm Mark. What's up,
Yeah.
everybody?
What's good? What's poppin'?
Uh, I don't know how that song goes.
Are the fish flopping? I don't know. That's what my head said. We've been thinking about fish a lot because
Fish
we talked
flop. Are,
to
are the fish flopping?
we talked to your dad yesterday on a drive, and he was talking about fishing, and then that you guys were gonna do your little thing that you did today, and also we keep seeing things that just remind us of your dad that were like, man, if we just bought everything that was fish related for Danny Holland, that man would have like 70 gifts for Christmas. It's ridiculous. There's a lot of fish stuff that we've seen lately, and we love it. But it's like the comical fish stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, Danny could actually use this. It's something that he would open up and he'd go, what? Uh, uh, oh, okay.
No, I
And
can't
like
go
it'd be
fishing
like
with
a,
that.
yeah, like we saw a sticker today that was Ass Pro Shop, and it was a fish that had, a nice set of cheeks, and it was very funny. Chris took a picture of it and sent it to your dad. Was like, hey, would you put this on the back of your car? Your dad never responded. And then hours later, he goes, hey, can you send me pictures of your motorcycle that you're selling? Did you hear that?
Yeah, what was that?
I assume that was one of the dogs. Most likely Kavik, because that was pretty loud. Maybe Chris accidentally ran over a part of his tail. I think it's okay though. Anyways, he asked for the photo of his bike and proceeded to send immediately 4 pictures. And Chris was just like, yeah, okay, cool, thanks.
Well, tell him to send me a picture of the Ass Pro Shop. I want to see the picture of a fish with cheeks.
Okay, okay, I'll get you. What you been up to? How you doing?
Speaking of fishing and hanging out with my father, today I went over to my dad's house and we took my little airbrush kit over there to try to paint fishing lures, homemade fishing lures. And I love my father, but I feel like at this point in my life and his life, I think he's just getting me back for being a kid and being excited to play with new toys or something, where he's trying to show me stuff because I was trying to show him stuff. He's like, cool, can we paint the stuff now? And I'm like, no, you're going to sit here and you're going to airbrush these spoons and make sure you got what it is. He's like, all right, but I got this stuff here and I do this and that and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, nope, you're going to make sure you got a feel for the machine before you go and start messing up your own stuff, paint
Yeah.
spoons. And he was just chomping at the bit, man. He was just about to explode. I'm like, all right, now it's time to do the lures. So we skipped over a whole bunch of stuff. I'm like, here you go, buddy. Go play. Have a good time, champ.
This is what retirement's all about now.
Right. And then we broke my airbrush.
Oh.
Yeah. We got a good couple hours in, but it kept clogging on us, and I was like, man, this is weird. Like, I had it doing stuff I've never seen it done before. Like, I had paint like literally just coagulating in my airbrush. I was like, what in the hell is going on?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'd pour some paint in there, and I don't know what was causing it to do it. Like, what weird chemical mixture was happening, but it was something would happen, and it just turned into like this weird, just homogenous thing in the bottom of the airbrush cup. I'm like, oh crap. So then I have to tear everything apart and fix it and, unclog it. And then we got to this one part where, we done primed a whole bunch of things. And then we're like, all right, cool. We'll finally get to paint it with this paint that you bought. And we had used it before and it worked kind of fine. And this time when we put it in, like, it just clogged everything up. So we pull it out, and of course the clog is someplace where we can't tear it apart to get in there and clean it, So we're trying to kind of force it out with another part of this machine, and we just ended up breaking it. And it's a little teeny tiny
Oh.
piece that's pressure fit in there, and brr. I'm not upset about it, but I was just like, dang, man. Because I kind of wanted to leave it with him and let him play with it.
Yeah.
And because I know that he ain't got nothing else to do, and he would have figured it out and gotten good at it. So, yeah, dang. And on top of that, my house has been sick for a week because when we last spoke last week, I said, hey, Alice is sick. And then Tuesday hit, and Kelly was like, guess what? I'm sick too. So enjoy that. And she's been sick all week, and now she's coming out of it. And me, with my immune system of a tank, um, perfectly fine. Perfectly fine.
It'd
Been
be like
around
that sometimes.
been around two people who's just been super sick all week. Amy's done spent the whole week at my in-laws' house, loving life, having the best time. Um, and I've been working from home on my teeny tiny laptop, which is the most frustrating thing ever. Um, as much as I love working from home, I hate working from home when I don't have all my equipment. That is frustrating.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I am super busy this week. And I go back Monday. I'm going to be slam packed when I get in on Monday. So
Well, good luck with all that. Hopefully, you can get some stuff done.
I'm just
Feel a
tired
little
just thinking
better.
about it.
Yeah, I get that. That's fair.
So,
Sometimes I look at my schedule for the upcoming week and I'm like, okay, this day should be good. This day it'll be okay. And then I look at one day and I just go, you know what? I don't even want next week to happen. It's okay. I'm ready for next weekend already. But it be like that sometimes. It's the cycle of life, I guess. But you got your kid going back to school, so
oh yeah,
that should be good.
she went back Tuesday, I think. Super champ, man. She's she did great. She made up some stuff and got good grades on all her stuff that she missed, and moving right
Ooh,
along, man. So
very nice.
but because I have been home and done spent a whole bunch of time just like confined to the house, because I dare not leave and infect anyone else. So I've been at home more than usual, and I have stumbled onto the show that Chris put me onto a couple months back. It's an animated show called My Adventures with Superman, and one, I love cartoons. Two, I love anime. And three, I love comic books and Superman. And this show has all three things, and it is good. I think it's great. This
Nice.
is the most fun modern take on Superman I've seen in a long time, and it's great.
Where is it streaming at? Or
Oh,
where are you watching it on?
that's a good question. I think it's Adult Swim.
Oh, okay. That sounds about right. Something like that would make sense. I feel like Cartoon Network used to have a lot of the Superman type stuff. And then, it would switch over. So I feel that.
Oh wow, I just got this picture that y'all took of a fish. Wow,
Of Ask Pro Shop.
yeah, this is going on our Twitter account
It's good.
this week. So you're welcome, America.
Yeah, we got quite a few stickers. I got some cryptid stickers today, and I'm very excited for them because Chris, it was like buy three get, for whatever price. And so Chris got himself a Cthulhu, and I got a Mothman and the Fresno Nightcrawler, and they're all big booty cryptids, and it was very
What
fun.
what the hell is the Fresno Nightcrawler?
You don't. It's the one that looks it looks like a pair of pants just walking around. You're gonna have to look at that one. That one's crazy. Chris and I are like obsessed with like the weird cryptids and stuff, and so we listen to that podcast, um, Chilluminati, where it's like these three dudes. They talk about like aliens a lot, but then one guy will talk about um like random cryptids, cryptids, and then like another guy will like sometimes talk about like random serial killers and stuff like that, so you can find out a lot of different stuff,
Huh.
and it's a pretty good show. Chris threw
Interesting.
me on it. I like to listen to some of the episodes that are, serial killer based because that's what I listen to a lot, but every now and then they do some good cryptids that I'm just like, okay, I'm here for it. Speaking of TV shows, I last weekend went to South Carolina to hang out with my family. And my aunt and I, one night, we were just chilling out watching TV. She put on some show, and it was about the opioid epidemic that started, early 2000s and such. And I was like, oh, this reminds me. I remember there was a show that came out while I was still working at Regal in like 2019 or something like that. Or 20, no, 2021. Jesus. It all just blurs together at this point. Uh, and we had like some big event for it. And I don't know if you've seen it, but it's on Hulu. It's Michael Keaton starring in the show Dopesick. It's only like a season long, and
Hmm.
I've been binging it.
Really?
It's really good. Yes, I highly recommend it because it just shows you how insane, like, because you know, I wasn't really focused on opioids at that point. So it's just insane to see how um, Oxycontin like really got pushed to be like, oh no 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 no, it's basically as safe as Tylenol. It's not addictive. People can just take it. It's cool. It's insane to watch, and it's a little sickening sometimes because you're just like, I can't believe that this one dude was just like, yeah, we can totally make this a thing. We totally know that it's addictive, but screw it. I want to make money. I hate that, but it's such a good show. Everyone that's in it like plays these great characters. Of course, you love Michael Keaton, and yeah,
What's it called
I
again?
it's called Dope Sick.
Dope sick. Oh,
Yeah,
oh, dope sick.
yeah.
SICK. Okay, all right.
It's super dope. It's super sick. That kind of stuff. Yeah, but I definitely recommend that. So if you're into something that's a little bit heavy, but it's still like really interesting to watch, I say go for it.
All right. This week, Ahsoka dropped on Disney Plus,
Oh yeah.
and it is really great. It's the first episode for sure feels like the most Star Warsy thing that Star Wars in a long time,
Mhm.
and that's really fun. That's really fun. It's kind of forcing me to go back and watch Star Wars Rebels, um, because the first two episodes are like you don't necessarily depend, or you're not dependent on it, but they make a lot of references to Star Wars Rebels
Hmm.
because all of the main characters are from that show.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, super good, super fun. I really hope it keeps up this goodness throughout the rest of the series. I don't know how many episodes there are, nor do I care. I'm just vibing on this whole thing. It's great.
Yeah, I've seen the commercials for it and it looks pretty good. Um, I think Chris might be getting us Disney Plus soon, so if we get it, I'll probably end up watching it. I do really like the way that, it looks, and so hopefully It sticks and it keeps making shows as long as it's not like, overkill. Sometimes they'll do stuff that you're just like, okay, we coulda dropped it a season, but
Yeah.
it's cool. It's whatever.
The main villain, I can't remember his name, but my man has just the best beard. Like, that sucker is sharp. It is squared, and I'm not lying when I say that I want to grow a beard just so it could be as square shaped as this man's beard is. It is phenomenal.
That's a lot of work, my man.
I do not mean that jokingly. I mean that like sincerely. This man has a very strong beard.
It's hard to, keep your facial hair as structured as like some of the stuff that you see, especially in media, because it's super easy to be like, oh, it got knocked a little bit. Can someone go over there and reshape it? So you'd have to be one of those people that like styles it in the morning. You keep the little comb in your pocket so you can be like, oh, we gotta clean it up a little bit. Chris also wishes he could be one of those people, but Chris cannot grow a beard to save his life. So, if you start growing a beard like that, your brother's gonna get envious. I'm just gonna tell you right now, and you can rub it in his face. It's okay.
All right, here I'm gonna send you a picture because I want you to see this dang old thing.
Yes, sir.
Look at the Discord chat.
That's a pretty good beard.
That's pretty fantastic beard. That's not even a good picture of his beard, but it's the best one I can find right now on such short notice.
Yeah, but it looks,
Yeah.
very clean cut. Everything's like pretty lined up.
Mm-hmm.
Man. It's like when I'm grooming dogs and I'm trying to be like, I need it to look round. And it's like a whole thing.
You got them multi-poos in there and you're just trying to get that beard good.
Oh, man. Sometimes I gotta get me some hairspray for dogs. They make doggy hairspray, and like my aunt has some that she uses mostly for her mohawks, but I just got my first client that was like, yeah, let's do a mohawk on my doodle. Her name is Lady. She's like, yeah, my boys want it. And I was like, okay, that sounds cool. So Miss Lady's gonna have a cute mohawk.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right. I'm about to explode. Let's talk about our movie this week, Raven. I'm ready to get busy.
Sure.
Okay. This week, ladies and gentlemen, we watched I don't want to lead the witness too much. This week we watched Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. This was not my first time seeing it this week. It was my second time. I raved about it last week. And Raven, you watched it. This was your first time. We were both excited to watch this movie.
Yes.
Raven, what did you think of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse?
Well, we watched the first one, and we talked about how beautiful and just like a gorgeous piece of cinema and art that it is. And we were like, we don't know if it can be topped. And then you were like, I think this one tops it. And you know what? You're kind of right. Because there is so much that just goes on that throws in different forms of like media onto each other, and it's beautiful. And the colors that all just casually grow together to make these beautiful sceneries, it's dramatic, it's loving, it's a whole wonderful story that I am excited for whenever they come out with the third one, because you can't leave this on a cliffhanger like that.
No, we
But
absolutely cannot.
we'll get into that. Mark, what were your thoughts on the movie? Seeing it especially for round 2.
Man, okay. So I took so many notes for this movie. I told you right before we started recording that I've not recorded this many notes for a movie since we did Gremlins. And I don't know why Gremlins was the one that we decided we were going to talk for 2 hours on.
Mm-hmm.
But I literally have my Google Doc here labeled Spider Notes. And one of the very first things that I wrote was the visuals are outstanding in this movie. It is, not to sound too hoity-toity, but it is a tour de force. No, it is, you're right. There's so much going on. There's so many different styles and things going on that all seem to work within this movie. The different colors and color palettes that they use when they go somewhere, and I don't know how I discovered this, but literally, and I mean this literally, the correct way literally, is that every single frame in this movie you could stop and it is a legitimate piece of artwork, which is so wild because I was testing this theory as I like stumbled across it and was like, I wonder if I could just stop this anywhere and just be wowed by the image that's on the screen. And I did, and it was incredible because at one point after I watched the movie completely a second time, I rewound it and just paused it at random places. And no matter what, even the goofiest poses that exaggerated pose that Miles might be doing would still be something you would see on a wall in an art gallery. Like, hey, look at this picture of Spider-Man I drew.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I 100% agree.
And you're right. The third one, they need to get on ball with the third one, but we got a writer's strike and an actor strike, and don't know when that's going to happen. But it's so good, man. It's so good. Shameik Moore as Miles kills it.
Oh my god.
Haley Steinfeld. Yeah. She kills it. They are great. Just, you know what, let's just get into it, like, for real. I was shocked from the get-go how there's literally a 20-minute opening scene to this movie before the credits roll.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. When we were like watching it, I was like, they haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Because it was just Gwen going about doing her thing.
Yeah.
And I really like the look into Gwen's universe to see like how her own life was, because obviously in the first one it was mostly about Miles's life, and so it's interesting to see where she kind of was during her own time of being apart from Miles.
Mm-hmm.
And of course it's like dramatic and it's sad because you're like, she just wants, someone to be there for her and care for her and know her truth, but
right,
one of those things happens, and she's just like, wow, here we are. But the sceneries and the colors when her dad walks into her bedroom and she's like depressed and it's all blue, and then she like runs over and gives him a hug and everything turns like this beautiful pink color.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so beautiful the way they like mesh it all together. Oh my god. I really want to watch this movie again.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Me too.
Pretty soon, because
Yeah.
I'm just like, I just want to retake it all in.
I like
But yes.
I like that during this time as well that we got a chance, like you said, to see Gwen do spider stuff by herself.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like that because it was just her. It wasn't her looking out for Miles or doing all this other stuff. And I loved that we gave like the one common thread amongst all the spider people is the quips. They kind of vaguely mention it later on, but they, you know, the little snippy snips, you know, being a little smart aleck or whatever.
Yeah.
Gwen's on point. It's great. I love that they gave her that character trait. Keep it in line with the rest of the fast talking spider people. I love the steampunk vulture. And one of the things that I sent you in our little Discord chat was when the second I saw this villain made me think of something I saw years and years ago was an artist called Dennis Medry. I know I'm butchering the name. I think he is a French artist, and I'm almost 100% certain I'm messing this up. But he did a series of drawings of steampunk-inspired Spider-Man villains. And one of them, of course, is the Vulture. And it looks very similar. Legally different, but, you know, I'm sure that the Vulture in the movie is very much a Leonardo da Vinci inspired Vulture, and that's fine. But I immediately thought of this steampunk Vulture.
It's pretty cool. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah.
So it's really cool. Go check it out. If you just type in steampunk Spider-Man, you'll find it out there. It's amazing artwork. But this is where we also get introduced to oh geez, what's his name? Raven? Miguel, thank you. We get introduced to Miguel and the Spider-Woman, who is freaking pregnant, riding a motorcycle.
She's not just riding it. She is literally being the best badass.
Yes.
On this motorcycle. She's literally hitting people with her motorcycle and just being like, "What's up?" And then Gwen just looks at her and she's like, "Are you?" And she's like, "Yeah."
we don't know the sex of it yet, but you know, we want to keep that a surprise.
It's literally like the cutest introduction to her.
It was. No. I said this before, but I also like how the characters stay true to their own style, artistic style, regardless of what universe they're in, and that kind of points out real good here as Da Vinci Vulture is, as he's getting arrested or they're fighting him or doing all this other stuff. Like, he is that same style the whole time, animated the same style, and but not with that pastel color palette that Gwen's universe has. He's very much parchment paper, and I love that. That was so good, and it gets even better later on when we get to Spider World or whatever, or Nueva New York or whatever.
So beautiful.
So dope. I wanted to see more. That one scene, that one shot where Miguel almost vamped out and bit the dude, and I was like, I want to see more of that.
But then you get the helicopters, and he's just like, "Can you guys just go away for a minute? Like, let me do something here."
And they're like, "No, you go away."
And then, of course, chaos breaks out because that's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, and then from there, we get the Gwen Stacy, you know, shows her dad that she's Spider Girl or Spider Woman, and this begins the part of the movie where I'm like, I get it. Right from this point on, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Anytime the parents in this movie do something, I get it. I 100% get it. It was a weird moment of realization with Mark watching this movie a second time. the because I get that he's just like, I don't know what to do. Like his entire world is like, he's been chasing after this Spider Girl for so long, and he's just like,
Yeah,
freeze.
he's like, I want to do right by my daughter because that was her best friend that got killed. And I don't know why she's trying to defend this spider girl that's going around. And then he finds out and he's just like, what is the right decision to make?
Right.
And
And
it's gut wrenching.
I think his brain just defaulted to, I have to get things in order. It's not a matter of he did it to like try to arrest her or be mean or anything like that. I think it was just his brain going, I need to get everything somewhere where I can process this. And if I arrest her, I can put her somewhere and my brain can comprehend this, and then we can take care of this. But right now, this is too much. I have to separate this from family. And
Yeah.
I
He just
get
needs
it.
to like reset it,
Right.
essentially.
Yeah. We need a hard reset is what we need. And yeah. So
And
I
then
get
she
it.
goes on to
It's
join
heartbreaking.
the crew.
Yeah. Yeah. And then after this, she goes into the Spider-Verse, and we finally 20 minutes later we get our title card. We go see Miles. We go see what's happening with Miles. For the last 18, he's grown a mustache.
Ooh. That nice 15-year-old 3 pieces of hair on your upper lip that they're like, I mean, it's the start.
I I love so much the visuals in this, because I wish I could just be in the room when they have these meetings of what visuals they're going to use. But just that big text crawl behind them, just mustache,
Yeah.
was so great. And I don't understand. I don't understand. He endorsed baby powder and then was like, I made a mistake. And then he was like, and I grew a mustache. And he was like, I made another mistake.
You live and you learn, Miles.
No, I don't understand why people were upset he endorsed baby powder.
Maybe it was the wrong brand. You never know.
Maybe. Oh, and then we get a great Easter egg, I think. A wonderful Easter egg that we get J.K. Simmons back as J. Jonah Jameson, doing very much a similar note as No Way Home, where he's kind of very clearly on a news channel going, he's a menace. He's not just a newspaper tycoon. He's, he's been transferred into anchoredom, as it were.
Of course. What else is he going to do?
Right.
And then we get to the point where it's, all right, where's Miles? We've got important college stuff to discuss. Which, honestly, to me, was kind of crazy, because I'm like, he's 15, though. Like, is that when you start thinking about that? Because honestly, I probably didn't start thinking about college until my senior year. So, I don't know if that's common, but, he does go to this nice, like, smarty pants school, so they probably are like,
Yeah.
let's see what's going on.
I think it's because he goes to the smarty pants school.
Probably. And good for him.
But
Especially if he wants to get into what he wants to get into. You got to make them grades.
yeah. I do love that he's got a B in Spanish, though.
And his mom instantly goes off of him. And he's just like, in Spanish, he's like, no, 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 no. Hold on. I might have missed some classes.
And
but
I love that the dad's like, oh boy, here we go. Like he knows exactly what's about to happen.
of course.
Yeah, we bring back the Bagel Man. I don't know if this was a bonus on the DVD or an extra somewhere, or if I saw the clip on YouTube or wherever, but I remember seeing a behind the scenes thing where they were talking about throwing a bagel at somebody and it bonked them on the head and made a bonk noise, in the
Yeah.
original Spider-Verse movie.
Hmm.
And I thought that was such a clever thing, at the time. I was like, oh yeah, whatever. And never in a bajillion years would I be like, oh, that guy is going to be our main villain.
This is my origin story. You threw
Right.
a bagel at
You
me.
threw a bagel at me, and now I will take everything from you.
It's a wild start to a story, but honestly, sure. It's enough to get there and be like, oh, well, I was working on this with Doc Ock, and now we're gonna fuck some shit up.
And I like he is kind of a bumbling fool. I
Yeah,
do
you
really
you
like that this character has an arc to him in this movie.
mhm. You see as it grows of what he realizes. Oh, this is what my power could become. Because in the beginning, you find him trying to rob an ATM machine and just fumble around.
Right.
And Miles is like, "Oh, uh, yeah. We'll get to this." And he's just like, "Are you on the phone? We're in the middle of a fight right now."
Yeah, he's like,
And
no,
Miles
no,
is like,
I'm trying to do
Yeah.
something here, man.
Hey, look, I got important stuff to do." And this guy's just like, "It's me. I'm the important stuff, and you're gonna learn."
Yeah, and then he says like, oh man, he's barely a villain of the week, and I was like, oh man, he's right though, he's right. But that's the origin story right there. Like,
There you go.
what did you call me?
Right.
Sometimes inspiration comes from weird places, and that's his. I want to take a sidebar here and explain to you why I decided to become or to make rap music in my early 20s. This is my
Yes.
villain origin story. I think I was probably 21, and I was in the military, and I was living in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, and I just kind of started doing karaoke at this one bar me and my friends always went to, and and probably about a month after I did my first karaoke, I went to Christopher's birthday party, and it was at a church, and I was like, man, we need some music or something. And Christopher's mother has her book of CDs, and I'm flipping through it, and I'm just kind of just like singing random songs off of the CDs. And I remember that I sang the chorus to Purple Rain. I was just like, oh, purple rain, purple rain. And she kind of gave me this look, and I'm like, nah, I sing. Like, you should see me at karaoke, man. I rap just really good. And she gives me this look like, okay. And I was like, all right, well, I have to go make raps now.
Right.
And that was my origin story. Not long after that was when I recorded my first song. And yeah, so you get inspiration from weird places, and being told that you're just a villain of the week when you want to be more might just be the motivation you need, or when you get donked in the head with a bagel by a dude in a spider suit. I really want to compliment I don't even know who to even think would be responsible for this, but just the logistics of what holes lead to where when you're flying around the city.
Mm-hmm.
That is such an interesting concept to me, because it seems like you could get lost in the details really quick.
Yeah.
Like, it could be this movie does a great job, regardless of how much stuff is on screen. You always are focused on the right things and not lost in the shuffle. So when we're flying, or not flying, but when we're moving around New York City fighting the Spot and Spider-Man, and you're zooming through all these holes, and cars are flying everywhere, and it's just all this debris, and stuff, you never get lost in it. And just the logistics of animating something like that is a feat unto itself. Again, this movie is incredible.
Absolutely. 100%. Because, Miles's dad is running around also kind of flying through some of these holes at some point.
Yeah, he's like, wait a second,
And
my
then,
kid goes here.
exactly. And then it gets to the point where they like go through a hole and he like is thinking about it, and then you see him going down the steps because he's like, no, 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 no. I'm a real person. I don't do that stuff.
Right. Right. And
But that was just like a cute little moment to like look into, like, no, no. I'm not like them. I'm a superhero in my own way that I can't do that.
and right after that fight is another one of these scenes where Miles's dad gives like a heart to heart with Spider-Man, not knowing it's his son. And he's just like, he's going through all these emotions of like, how do I deal with my kid? There's all these things that he's growing up and I want him to do good, but at the same time, like, he doesn't know what's good for him because he's still a kid. He don't understand that he's still a kid, but I have to give him enough space so he can grow and become his own person. And, Miles is kind of like, maybe don't be so hard on him. He's like, whatever, felt all
Right.
of that, felt all of that speech. I got it. Again, this is the second time of many times in this movie where I'm like, nope, get it. I got it. What did you think of when the Spot realizes he can jump into different multiverses? When he can go to
Yeah,
different dimensions, and we get like the Lego cameo, and we get old girl from Venom. Have you seen the Venom
I was going to
movies?
say, of course, because I looked at Chris and I was like, we of course did the Venom. Because what else are you going to do? I was like, Chris, look. He was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, that was an interesting thing for them to just poke around into different realities, and I really enjoyed that because it's like, how do I know which reality to go to? And so I was like, is he just going to be stuck here for a moment and just kind of like glimpse into multiple things? And at some point he realizes, now I can figure this out. And that's a scary little thought that you can just kind of jump into multiple realities
Yeah.
as a like basically shapeless, like it's a human-esque shape, but like there's nothing else to it. He's like, my family won't look at me because I don't have a face to look at this point. And when he's moving around, he no longer has the spots. I love the animation that they did on him because it looks like that kind of the sketch outline, but they
Yes.
like remove some of it, and it's beautiful the way they did that. So it's not just this white thing turning around in all these weird little spots. It's, you see as his like shoulder kind of moves and his head tilts and stuff like that. And it's beautiful. But yeah, that was quite a moment.
It was. It was. I agree with you 100% on the design of the Spot. That sketch artwork is great.
Hmm.
I want to talk about the music in this movie. Is so Miles's music in particular, and I don't mean like his theme or his like in particular like music. I'm talking like the music that happens when we're in his New York is fantastic. The
Hmm.
music producer of this movie picked all of the New York songs that he needs to pick. I think the only thing that this movie is missing is Annie Up, but I guess they gave that to the Ninja Turtles. This is so New York. It's great. I love it. As a hip hop fan, my entire life, this is such a genuine like use of that music You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
everywhere, even because we're getting ready to go to Mumbattan. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Don't know, but we're getting ready to go somewhere else, and everywhere where we get new music or a new environment, like we're not getting Boogie Down Bronx when we go to Nueva York. You know?
Exactly. It's like when we watched the Mario movie and we
Yes.
were like, some of these music choices are not what you want and expect. It's
Right.
just being thrown in there. But with this movie, they are so great about pairing it to the scene, to the setting, the feeling of everything. Because when you are at that party for his dad and he's trying to bring the cake, and so everything's happening and they're partying and stuff, and it's just a vibe. And you have the DJ trying to crank up the music when he starts to realize that some stuff's going down between the Morales family, and he's like, let's pretend that this isn't happening until it gets to that breaking point.
Right.
And man, is that a breaking point.
Yeah, it is. And
But yeah.
yeah,
Oop.
well, no, and then like no, that's the perfect segue into the next part. Is then Gwen shows up, and they go do spider things, and then like I'm a bit confused. This is like one of the few parts of the movies where I feel like one thing didn't lead into another, because Miles is grounded. They go do Spider-Man things, and then they come back and both of them are like standing on the roof talking. And I'm like, as a parent, I would be like, no. Where did this girl come from? That's not how this is going to work, sir. You are grounded. But when Gwen introduces herself to the parents and she uses their first name,
And they're like,
they're like,
oh.
oh my God, she's using our first names.
But also at the same time, they're like, Miles has a friend that's real. Because obviously they had been worried about, him getting into things and not being focused. And so they're like, oh, a friend and a girl? And then his mom's all, you you can go hang out with her, you know, just be good.
Yeah.
And he's just like, Ma. Like it's one of those like classic situations, but it's cute. It's one of those things that like,
It's such a heartfelt moment
yeah,
before
absolutely.
we go completely apeshit with the rest of this movie.
Yeah, before it does a 180 and you're just like, "Oh,
Right.
uh-oh."
This is the literal calm before the storm. It's this great, wonderful, heartfelt moment where she's just like, "Go for it," just yeah, like you said, just be careful. Come back to me in one piece. And then, literally 5 minutes later, it is an assault on the senses as we go to this Indian-inspired Manhattan of just lights and sounds, and probably a billion people live in this version of Manhattan.
Mhm.
It is bonkers. Um, I like the design on the Indian Spider-Man, who is
Oh
played
my
by
goodness. He is beautiful.
let's see, Paviter Prabhaka. I know I'm messing that up. Sorry, everybody. Not good. But no, the using the strings and yo-yos, so good, so clever.
Mhm.
Shit, this movie's great.
You see him like wearing the like everything looks so traditional, even the way that like the shape of his eyes on the
Right.
mask are so beautiful. And as you look at everyone else's mask, it's just like, man, they thought about so much background into where everyone was coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it, especially when they're all like just like standing there side by side and you can really look at it and be like, "Holy shit. How do you think to be like these are all different people from different little planes of
Right.
existence. It's not even the same world. that they're technically living in.
And we get, let's see. Oh yeah, this is the introduction. This area when we get to the Collider lab is where we get our introduction to Toby the Spider Punk, who is such a wild character. I love this character, and I love it even more that later on he's like, he basically drops out of the club, because that tracks with his character, where he's just like, I quit. And helps Miles, like gives him that little hint, like, use your whole hand, man, get out of here, you can do it. And right before we get the big spider chase scene, but Toby is such a good character, and I love the dynamic between Gwen.
Did you say Toby?
Yeah, isn't that how they say his name?
It's an H, not a T. Hobie.
Hobie. Did
Yeah.
I miss? Oh, I did. I'm sorry. I mistyped it. That was my
No, you're
bad.
all good.
I think my Google Doc that I'm looking off of, I think it auto corrected that. That's my bad.
I just like heard you, and I was like, wait a second.
That's my bad. It is Hobie.
No, you're good.
I could have very had rapper Toby Nguigwe on my brain as I typed that. I apologize. But
You're good.
Hobie, great character, man.
Oh,
Dope.
I love his character so much. As soon as he came on, I was just like, Chris is the guy that everyone was like. My Twitter, when this movie came out, was just full of people like, they were crushing on this man.
Yeah, they were.
In that sense of like, yo, he's kind of perfect. But I get it, because even Miles is like, whoa, he's so cool. And then he takes off his mask and he's like, whoa, he's still like the coolest person I've ever met. But like, he doesn't even try. It's one of those. It's such a great character. I really love everything that like Hobie's just kind of like, that's whatever. And then as they're like, you get to the entire quote unquote the little group that Gwen was telling him about, and Miles is like, I thought you said this was little. Well, some of them work part-time. And he's like walking around, and they get to where Miguel is, and he's just like messing with random pieces, and he's like, nobody's telling me not to. Who's gonna stop me? I just love his character. He's such a good time.
Yeah, he is. When we get to Spider-Man Central, because I don't know what else to call it. Did they ever give it a name? The big building where everyone hangs out.
I can't remember if they did or not. I want to say they did, but we can call it Spider Central.
Okay, this is a great place where if you have the ability to just frame by frame every second of this scene, because there are hundreds and hundreds of different Spider-Man. It is great. There is a cowboy Spider-Man with a horse with a mask, and his name is Web Slinger, and that made me laugh for no for no dumb reason. They had they called him the Insomniac Spider-Man, which is Spider-Man from the video games, which the production company for the video game is called Insomniac. That's why he's Insomniac Spider-Man. They did the meme pose of all the Spider-Man looking at each other, which, again, this is how I know that the entire franchise is in good hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As soon as it hit, there was so much joy in me, and I was like, Chris, because we're sitting there watching it, and I was like, I want just a screenshot of multiple of these groups just on a shirt. It's just wrapped around the entire shirt of just multiple different Spider-Man all doing just that little you.
What?
That
you?
moment.
No, you. No, you.
It's so good. And I am so happy they put that in there.
I was thrilled to death that Donald Glover showed up for a cameo for an alternate universe Prowler. That made me so obscenely happy that he showed up. Because you know why he showed up, don't you? I hope you do.
Do I? Is there like a...
He was in the first Tom Holland Spider-Man,
Yeah.
Homecoming. And he played Uncle Aaron, basically. He was the guy who...
Oh, yeah.
because he was like, oh, yeah, my nephew lives in Brooklyn or Bronx or wherever it was.
Yes.
That's Uncle Aaron.
I forgot about it.
So I'm glad that they gave that little nod back to them. That is fantastic. I really hope that in the next Spider-Man movie that we are able to pass the, next live action one, that we're able to pass the mantle on to Miles, and Donald Glover gets a chance to, for real, be the Prowler, gets to be Uncle Aaron.
Could be pretty cool.
I think so. And then we get kind of, I guess, our motivation for the rest of the movie, where we find out that some bad stuff's going to happen to Miles, or to his dad more specifically. And,
Well, technically, you find out that Miles did a big screw up by saving
oh yeah,
our lovely... Which one was it? What is his name?
Indian Spider-Man.
Yes. Pavager?
Yes.
Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. I feel bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was not supposed to save his girlfriend's dad. And that's what caused such collapse within that whole realm. That everything was just screwing up. And Miles is just like, Gwen, I thought you were holding me back because you thought it was going to be unsafe. And she's like, what was I, like, what are you supposed to say in that moment? No, he has to die. And so, when Miles finds out that technically his dad has to die because he's going to become a captain, I can understand why Miles would be like, yeah, we're not just going to let that happen. Like, if you think I'm just going to, let my dad die, you're insane. But it's, it's a heartbreaking scene, but it's insane how then everything happens where they're all just going after Miles.
That is such a good scene. Jesus. Where
it's very fun to watch.
It is.
The spider car.
Yes. And it's pandemonium for the next 5 minutes of just every Spider-Man you can possibly think of just running after him. It's wild, dude. This is so good. This is probably one of my favorite parts of the movie.
But it also gives you a look into their headquarters, essentially.
Right.
Because you see where they're like, oh, this is where we practice our agility and our stamina and stuff like that. So it's so interesting. And I really like that they threw that in there. Because it's not like, oh, let's all just get them. And, it's one of those things that I thought was well planned out. Because everyone's just running around. And there's so many places because it's Spider-Man that they can just jump around and be upside down and do all the stuff.
Yep. And again, this goes back to the logistics of trying to choreograph and then animate something where you can literally travel in 3 dimensions of just space, and you're moving hundreds of different spider people, and so good. I like that little moment that Peter B. Parker and Miles had, because I genuinely feel that even though it looked like, especially to Miles, that Peter Parker kind of set him up like, oh no, they were tracking you, and I got to go away. It was a genuine kind of heartfelt moment for a little bit. This movie has a lot of heart for it being a Spider-Man movie. Like,
It
what the hell are
does.
we doing?
Also, can we just talk about the fact that Peter Parker literally has a kid and he
Yes.
just has this cute little crochet beanie on top of her, so at any moment that he's like, "Don't tell your mom," and she just slides it over her face.
Yeah.
Adorable.
There was a great little joke right at the beginning of the chase where he's running and he has his phone. He's like, Miguel, can you take a picture of me and me?
And she does the little
And
flip
she
shot.
flips it and takes the selfie herself. That was adorable.
So cute. Loved it so much.
Oh, and yeah, this leads us to the train that's apparently going to the moon. I think it was the moon. Going to the moon. All the spider people are there. Miguel's losing his mind. He's upset. He gets really intense. Just like, this was a scene I was like, oh boy, I'm feeling this. This is weird and awkward. But my man is definitely dedicated in his beliefs of what he feels is wrong and right. Which again is another kudos.
Spider-Man trope.
Well, yeah, but it's also like a kudos to this movie that there is not a character in this entire movie where I'm like, I don't know why they're doing that. That's weird they would do that. I know why everybody is doing the thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
And that says something.
I'm sure you really like the fact that I know that you are like, once they set the rule, if they don't follow the rule, you get upset by it because you're just like, what was the point?
Right.
And they are all trying to keep that rule intact, even if it means heartbreak.
Right. But here's the thing about breaking the rule, okay, is Miles is breaking the rule. But that's the whole point of the movie. You know what I'm saying? So it's okay. All of these other wild, fantastic spider people doing their weird, crazy things, it's okay because we have set the precedence that all of this weird stuff can happen. That's cool. We can do all of this crazy stuff because in this world, that happens. We don't... the motivations are exceptionally clear with our main characters. We know what everyone wants. Gwen wants acceptance from her father. She feels lost. Miguel trying to desperately hold the universe together because he knows that these other spider people are going to do what they're genetically trained or inevitably going to do and try to save everybody, and that's not how it works. And the Spot is, once he starts getting his powers, he's very clear in his motivations. He's pissed off at Spider-Man. He wants to get revenge on Spider-Man, and I get it. It is fantastic. So good. And then we go back to, let's see, after we take the train up to the moon, Miles jumps off and invisibilities himself back to the lab to hopefully go back home. And we see that he goes back to Earth 42. We're going to put a pin in that and come back to it later. I really like that old girl. I can't remember her name. What was her name? The digital Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
she was cute.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name either.
Was it May? No. Was it Lila?
Yes.
Was it Lila?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was Lila.
No, Margot Kess. Spider Bite. That's who it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Lila was Miguel's AI robot that had the fur coat and the big glasses. No, I loved that she had this great little character moment as well, where it was like, I'm just trying to get back, man. Just let me get out of here.
Mm.
And she didn't stop the thing. Um, and then Gwen. Oh, that was the scene where Hobie was like, you know, prior to him breaking out, gave him that "I quit" speech and told him how to do the thing, and then backed up into the portal. So good. Hobie's such a great character.
For real.
And then Gwen Stacy goes back to her world to, kind of regroup before she goes to see Miles, and gives one of the absolute best speech of this entire movie, where she's talking to her dad, and she's going through all this, and she's just like, I can do all of these things, but I can't help the ones I love the most, and they can only know half of who I really am. And I'm like, that is such a phenomenal line, and encapsulates being a Spider-Man so good.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying not to cry watching that dumb scene.
Well, for Gwen to be young, she just has, she has so much on her, and her emotions and her knowledge that just puts her in a spot where she, it's like when kids have to grow up because of situations, and she's just like, I want to do what's best for everyone, even if it means that it's not going to be best for her. And it's very sad. You know, I don't know. She's such a great character, and she's just like, I want my family to be happy. I want my friends to be happy. I want Miles to be happy. I want me to be happy. But, yeah.
And from there, we get probably the greatest switcheroo of this whole damn movie, where we set up where Gwen goes to see Miles, and she's hanging out outside his window, and Miles is having this really great heartfelt moment with his mom, and confesses that he's Spider-Man, and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And you're like, what? And then she looks in, and Miles is not there, and we're like, what's going on? And then Uncle Aaron walks in the apartment, and we're like, holy crap. And we realize we're in Earth 42, and he's in the wrong place. And oh my God.
That was such a twist. Ugh. It was very gut-wrenching when she was just like, I don't know what Spider-Man is.
Right.
You're just like, what do you mean you don't know what Spider-Man is? But then you're like, Uncle Aaron. Oh, it was supposed to be you that was supposed to be Spider-Man. It was supposed to be blah, blah, blah. Man, that scene right there
It
was intense.
crazy. And again, the color palette. The color palette when Uncle Aaron walks in, and we start getting all these purples. And then we're going up to the roof, and we get all these purples, and it just gets so wild. And I'd never thought that I would be so scared of a cartoon before that wasn't a monster. I was legitimately scared Uncle Aaron was just about to straight up beat this dude up.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't Uncle
Yeah.
Aaron. Again, this great things that I didn't notice the first time that I noticed the second time, when right before the Prowler shows up, that Uncle Aaron's checking his phone, and Miles is trying desperately to keep cool, and you see him look at his phone, and his whole, like, very very subtle, but you see it, where his facial expressions change as he looks over at Miles, as Miles is desperately trying to keep it together. And then that's when Earth 42 Miles, the Prowler, shows up and bops him in the face, and you're like, oh man, this is bad. Like, what is going on? Oh, this movie's so good. God, this movie's so good.
It's so well thought out.
It was the
Because there's so many, like, that last little bit is just constant twists and turns that you don't see coming, and you're just like, okay, is what's next? Like, you're just like sitting in that moment of just like, there's no way that something else crazy can happen. You're just like, okay, we're at the final, like, weird thing that you don't believe is going to happen.
right. And this great moment when the Prowler shows up and Miles, Earth 42 Miles, takes the helmet off, and he's got cornrows and he looks a little bit skinnier, and he's just, you know, it is a completely different person. We found out, that Miles' dad has passed away, and our Miles is trying to reason with him. He's like, no, like that's not. I don't care about that because that doesn't concern me. That's your family, not mine.
Mm-hmm.
Is great. And we have that cutting in with scenes of Gwen rounding up the posse, as it was. We see Spider Ham and Spider-Man Noir and Penny Parker and all these other things. And then the movie ends. And I will say,
What a scene to end.
I know, if there was ever anything that made me want to see a movie more, was the last 5 minutes of that movie. I want to see Beyond the Spider-Verse so bad. I'm genuinely upset they did not give us a post-credit like trailer or something.
I know, but because Chris skipped through it, and we were like, if you anything you do would be kind of like a spoiler. Like, they
Yeah.
do a lot of those types of scenes now where it's like, oh, this is a look into what's to come, but it's like we already know what to kind of expect because it's Go Save Miles. And it's Miles trying to do what he can to save his dad and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What a scene.
Yeah. This movie is damn near perfect. I really can't even think of anything where I'd be like, "Oh man, but what about this?" This is such a
Yeah.
It's such a great movie. This Watching it the second time was even more enjoyable because because I got to kind of really watch it instead of getting distracted like I was the first time. Because the first time I watched it, I was trying to.
There's so much to see.
Yeah. And I'm working on some visual stuff for the podcast, like the promo stuff that we put out afterwards, that I've started doing. I'm working on some Spider-Man clippy clips, trying to pull some clips, and I'm kind of halfway watching it again as I'm scrolling through the movie to pull clips. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. It's great. Like I said, literally every frame is a piece of art. I can't wait to sit down and force Kelly to watch it, because I will sit there and watch it with her, because she was like, I didn't know there was a new Spider-Man movie. And I was like, no, it's a sequel to Spider-Verse. She's like, what's Spider-Verse? I'm like, the animated movie that came out? She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, huh? I thought we watched Spider-Verse together. She was like, we obviously didn't. I'm like, okay, well, we obviously are going to watch both of these movies, and you're going to love them because reasons.
Yes, 100%. God.
Do you got anything else to say? Because instead of me just saying how much I love this movie for the next, hour or so, I think we've pretty much covered this. we're
I was going to say, I would just be saying the same thing, man. It's perfect.
It is.
I don't think they could have done anything different for this movie to just make it any better. They fully thought everything through, and it came through probably better than they really thought it was going to come through.
I really, I really hope that they haven't done too good a job, and the writer strike doesn't mess up. Writers and actor strike doesn't
Yeah.
mess up so much stuff that this third movie just fumbles the ball at the 1 yard line. You know, so we'll see. We'll see. All right, let's move on to our next segment. Kind of going in for the close here. Favorite segment of the week. Raven, tell me what has made you happy this week.
Today, we had a really fun time. In Knoxville, they have a horror convention, and that's this weekend. And when Chris found out about it, like a few weeks ago, he sent it to me and was like, "Hey, do you want to go to this?" And I was like, duh. Of course I want to go to it. And it was so much fun. It I was looking forward to it like every single day. I woke up so early this morning and like went and sat on the couch and I started getting antsy because I was like, man, I want to go do it. And so I went back to bed because I was like, maybe I'll take a nap. And then I was like, no, I can't take a nap. And so I kind of woke Chris up, but in the guise of mudslide woke Chris up. And then I like sit there and fidget and he's like, what? And I'm like, I'm really excited for today. And so we go about our day. We finally get there. And they had like costume contest and people were dressed up and there was so many different things going on and it was great. There was so many vendors for different types of things and different arts and people that even were like selling baked goods and stuff. And we bought some really cool things. Like we bought a puzzle from this one lady who takes different like the Brahms Castle took it basically took the whole outside of it, made that like the base form of the puzzle, and then she took different rooms from everything and made like different sections of from the book where it's like, oh, this is depicted from this section of the book and this is depicted from this section of the book. And then they had like an H.H. Holmes one, which was kind of intriguing. We ended up getting one that was Edgar Allan Poe because Chris was very excited for that one. So it's different like stories from multiple of, you know, it's little sections from each little story that's like really popular and stuff. And so we bought that and we're pretty excited to do that because I love puzzles and Chris is like, "Oh, look, it's Edgar Allan Poe. Look, Raven. Look." And I'm always like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's me." He gets so excited for stuff like that. Um, like I said, we found plenty of stickers that I'm so excited for us to have. It was just a great time to just see so many people just hanging out looking at spooky things. Because, you know, we like to go to like the little crafty things during the fall and do that kind of stuff, but Halloween and horror is one of the things that I am always super excited about and always willing to talk about. And I wore my Junji Ito shirt, and almost every stall, someone was like, "I really like your shirt. That's a cool shirt. I like your shirt." And Chris bought it for me, so he was just like, "You see, that's a really cool shirt that somebody bought you." And so we just had a really good time. And that's what I was looking forward to all week, and it made the week so good. Mark, what made you happy this week?
Oh man, in the midst of all of the sickness that has been running through my house, um, the Wednesday Wednesday, my favorite band dropped EP, a little 4-track, little quick hit of twerp goodness. My favorite band, Twerp, released 4 brand new tracks, and I feel like they are the great, like a great little appetizer before a new album drops later on this year. It's great, fun, upbeat tracks in that great 80s synth techno kind of style. Super fun. Last night, I can't remember how we got on the topic, but we somehow started digging in our old yearbooks from 25 years ago. And I think it had to have been my sophomore year. I forgot this picture was in the yearbook, but there was a picture. We had a contest called Miss Eagle Beast. Don't at me. I didn't have anything to do with the name, but it was a drag show. Which is, now that I think about it, is even more wild that it took place in the 90s in Georgia. That it was a drag show, and the guys dressed up in the dresses and all of this, and we came out and we did a talent show, and it was treated like a beauty pageant. And it was a fundraiser for local whatever it was. I don't know. I went into this thinking this was going to be a fun time. Ha, 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 ha. Until I got in there and realized that I was terribly, terribly outmatched by many of the other contestants. It was like me and maybe 1 or 2 other dudes who were like, oh, we'll go in there and throw on a wig and it'll be fun. And then there were people who went in there and bought dresses and bought outfits and treated this as a real beauty pageant. And when they were done, they were like, hey, let's walk around Walmart in our full drag gear. It was an event. But they decided they'd take a picture of me with everything except my wig on, full makeup, the whole 9. And my picture's in the yearbook like that. So, hooray. And Alice thought it was hilarious. She laughed like crazy about this for like 5 minutes. And I don't blame her. Don't blame her at all. Oh, and the last thing, and Raven, I will send you this video here because I know you like all types of cool doggy stuff. My bulldog, who I adore, who is a complete idiot and the destroyer of great many things. We bought this solid metal sprinkler because she has chewed through every single other one, even other solid metal sprinklers. And we even bought a metal garden hose that she has apparently chewed through because she is a fucking menace. But when I got back from my dad's house today, Kelly showed me, she was like, I figured out how to get the dog to not chew up the hose. You want to hear it? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, she showed me a video of where she set the hose up on this swing set playhouse thing that we got. She propped it up, turned it on, and the dog is just jumping up trying to get the water. And I'm not joking when I say this. This dog is jumping like 6 feet in the damn air. She is getting some damn height on her. And just watching her, she was like, no, go out there, take her out there and go do it. And I was like, okay. So I took her out there and I held her by the collar and I turned on the water, and she was about to lose her damn mind. And I let go. I was like, go get it. And she warp speed there and then just started what I call chirping. She, you know, that little bulldog chirp. And she's trying to jump and she just can't get her mouth wrapped around this water. And it is just driving her crazy. But at the same time, she's also not digging up my yard because for some reason she's gotten to this thing where when she's playing in the sprinkler, she will go and like literally just pick up pieces of grass with her mouth and just start shaking it like it's a chew toy. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dog? But she's great. I still love her. She's pretty awesome. And that's the 3 things that have made me happy this week.
That's so cute.
No,
I can imagine her just having such a good time with that, and I love that. Oh,
she is. She's a great dog. I took her for, where did we go yesterday afternoon? Me and Alice went to go get donuts, and the dog was just, I could tell she wanted to play, or she just wanted to get out of the house or something. And I told her, when I was like, hey, we're gonna go somewhere. Alice, I was like, hey, let's me and you go somewhere, like let's go get donuts or whatever. And I looked over at Sasha. I was like, Sasha, you want to go for a ride? And this dog, like, went so fast she looked like a cartoon, just boom. The second I said, do you want to go for a ride? This dog ran like halfway across the house and then realized I was not right behind her for us to, like, go outside. But it was just spinning around and jumping up and down and just, when are we going? When are we going? When are we going? When are we going? As soon as I opened the door, ran straight for the truck, started running circles around the truck. Like, she loves car rides. She's a goober.
she's so cute. She's a good goober.
She is. So. All right. So, everybody, listen to me. Listen, this is important.
I am listening.
I want the great listeners of this podcast to go find us wherever you can get podcasts. We're all over the place. We made it a point when we started this thing that we're not just on Apple. We're not just on Spotify. We're not just on the Podbean website. We're everywhere. Anywhere you can get podcasts. So pull up your favorite podcast app and listen to the show. Rate, review it, share it with your friends, because we want you guys to help us create this show. We want you to tell us what movies you want us to watch. Give us topics to talk about. We'll talk about just about anything, So
we do watch some crazy movies.
We do.
So you can throw whatever at us.
And we
love it.
And we got a couple on the slate coming up. I think this is the most that we've planned for, like, oh, hey, we need to watch these movies. I think we got our next 2 weeks worth of movies picked out. So yeah, usually we're really on the fly with stuff like this. We're not like, oh, we're gonna watch this movie next week. Usually it's, what are we gonna watch? I don't know. I'll text you during the middle of the week, and then Wednesday Raven texts me and goes, what movie are we watching? And I go,
I'll look on Netflix. Hold on.
Look on Netflix. So but yes, hit us up, man. You can find us on any of the socials as well at Nerd for No Reason. We're on Instagram. We're on the Threads. We're on the Twitters. I'm not going to call it X. We're on the Twitters. We're on the Facebooks. Hit us up on email if you want. nerdfornoreason@gmail.com. That's going to come right to me. I answer emails.
You can give us suggestions for movies.
Give us suggestions for movies, man. We're working on, we're reaching out to some people. We're going to try to bring some guests in and see if we can't do a little cross podcast promotion things, or just talk to people that interest us. Because I've reached out to a couple people, and we're going to see if they hit us back. So hopefully we'll get some guests in the near future. Yeah. So, Raven, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on the Twitters at spooky_Raven, or if you're about the Instagrams, I hit it up sometimes. Sometimes I forget that it exists, and I just go on there to look at silly videos. But that's so Raven Ellis, and you can easily find what other random Instagrams that I run for dog grooming and for my own dog. He's pretty cute. You can follow him. I post cute pictures of all three of the boys.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop whoop. Mark, where do you hang out on the social webs?
Just about everywhere except for Facebook nowadays. I'm not really on Facebook that much. I hop on a little bit here and there, but not enough to really count. But I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, all that, at Turtles Do It. Very simple. Just hit me up. Let me know what's going on in your life. You know, we can do it. We can be friends. Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? I've really enjoyed this episode. I feel like this has just been a super fun episode talking about Spider-Man.
It was so fun.
It was.
We need more good movies like this.
We do.
So send them to us. Pretty please. We're asking nicely.
All right, everybody. With that, you guys go do something wonderful in the world.
Ingest all the super cool medias out there, and we'll see you again next week here at the Nerd for No Reason podcast.
Flip. Ooh, Spider-Man. Ooh. Hey, Raven, have you ever seen the 1970s Spider-Man?
1970s.
The 1970s, like it was a TV show pilot. They did like a made-for-TV movie. And
maybe?
Oh,
it's possible I have.
I got to find the clip of like when this guy who plays Peter Parker, who is not a teenager, he is a grown man, when he gets his powers and he's trying to like learn to swing. And I know that at one point, I remembered this from my childhood watching this dumb part of this movie, and it cracked me up so much that when I finally saw it, I was like, again, as an adult, like 6 months ago when I finally found it, I was like, oh, this is still super dumb. How did this even pass? But he's figuring out how to use his webs or whatever, and swinging. And the guy who is swinging clearly does not have the upper body strength to be swinging around because they don't have special effects. So he's like trying to swing on these super thick, like gym ropes, but they're not quite like thick like that, like climbing ropes. And at one point, I guess whatever branch or whatever he was swinging onto is not like they didn't test it. They just slung it over and tied it up. And he's swinging and he almost hits the ground because his body weight pulls the thing down so much. It is so corny. And I think they just reached in the bag and picked out different Marvel characters because I think, what's her Emma Frost? I think Emma Frost is she's an X-Men. And they were like, yeah, cool, Emma Frost, a blonde lady, let's put her in the Spider-Man movie. And a few other people, I'm like, what are they doing? It is wild. It is crazy.
What?
I'll have to find that clip and send it to you. It is...
Please do.
Dumb as shit. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.